The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to take a moment and thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to go through a little presentation about Kemper System today. We're going to kind of talk through the different products that we carry and how they work in the waterproofing market. I'd like to take a moment and thank Ted with Premier for putting this together and sending out the invite, and Noah as well, two good partners that are helping to promote our products throughout the Southeast. Before we jump into our presentation, my name is John Monteith. I am the Southeast Regional Manager for Kemper System, and I work with architects, engineers, and contractors working with our Kemper System throughout the area. Before we jump into going into our products, I'd like to bring some attention to a little live demo that we're going to be doing here in the Charlotte area. This is going to be an actual presentation where the product is opened. The product will be applied to some substrates. We'll be using primers. We'll be using our tools and our naps and our rollers, kind of showing how this product works. So we'd love for you to join us on that. That's October 4th at 10 a.m. It's at the Charisma building in Charlotte. We will also be doing an AIA presentation that day for 1.5 credit hours, and we'll be going over the cold liquid applied roofing and waterproofing system. Lunch will be provided at that, guys, and I look forward to everybody joining us. I appreciate if you would come out and see us. So let's jump into our presentation. I'll keep you guys for just a few minutes here today. I know everybody's busy and we're getting close to the weekend. So without further ado, we will jump in. There we are. All right, so today we're going to be talking about all things Kemper, all the products that we manufacture and sell under our brand name. Kemper is based in New York, Our office is in Buffalo, and our products are all made here stateside. So part of the agenda that we're going to go through today is just some real brief history about Kemper, a little bit about our different brands, some overview of our products and systems and what makes us unique in the marketplace. Talk a little bit about our support system that we have on our back end, and then we've got a small case study at the end. So who is Kemper? Kemper Systems. I found that a lot of people don't even know what Kemper is. It's funny, I'll go into an office, I'll sit down with an architect, and we're talking about his waterproofing, and I'll mention Kemper, and usually the question is, what is a Kemper? Well, Kemper is the inventor of cold liquid applied resin technology. We invented this in 1957 in Germany. We're celebrating 66 years of uninterrupted innovation that we have been producing this product. We do have manufacturing in the US. Like I said, our manufacturing in the US is in Buffalo, New York. It's all German engineering. We have our ISO certifications, and we have on-site QC and R&D labs. You would think that's a pretty normal thing, but there are a number of manufacturers out there that do not have their own R&D and QC labs. We're odor-free and solvent-free, something that's very different than what you're probably used to dealing with waterproofing products. And we've got a great project resume. We'll kind of cover a few of those today, and then we do have national technical back-end support services for both the installers and the owners and specifiers. Anybody that's seen any of our presentations before, this is something that we're very proud of. In 1967, in Kassel, Germany, Volkswagen asked us to install 3 million square feet of our 2K system on the roof of their building. This was a concrete deck. The system was installed in 1967, and in the mid-80s, almost 20 years later, they decided that they wanted to add a couple hundred skylights to help with the energy consumption that they were dealing with in their facility. So they were concerned on how this was going to work, going up on a roof that was almost 20 years old, cutting in skylights. They found that they were able to cut their skylights in, drop their curbs in place, get out some MEK, wipe down the existing roof, and flash our product right into our existing product. Ironically, this roof is still performing perfectly, and to date, there have been no reported leaks on this facility. Our first project in the US was for Tacoma Power and Light. We did the power dam. It was a very, very expensive project. There was a lot of Kemper involved in this. You take a dam into account, you got a lot of moving water through there. So they spent a lot of time going through our products and understanding our products before coming on our two component system. As I said, we're made in America. We are growing and expanding currently. We've got some CAD drawings made up for our expansion at our corporate facility right now. Two of those pictures kind of show the future expansion, and that little small picture is our office currently. There's about a 12,000 square foot warehouse behind there, and then there's a bunch of ancillary areas as well. So let's jump into the meat and potatoes, talk a little bit about our product and system overview. A lot of people are afraid of waterproofing, especially if you're in the roofing industry. Waterproofing may not be your niche, but waterproofing is pretty straightforward. It's 3 steps, or 4 if you want to put a decorative finish on it. The most important piece, obviously, is the prep and cleaning of the substrate. We love concrete, although we don't need concrete. We can use many substrates, but in this particular situation here that we're showing, the primer is applied directly to the substrate. Then on top of that, we apply our membrane. And the 4th option is if you want to put a surfacing on it, like a ceramic quartz or a non-slip. That's usually used on patios, decking where there's a slip potential, parking decks for walking, working services, and vehicular surfaces. Concrete and cement coverboard primers. These are our 2 main primers for our 2 main systems. EP5 is an epoxy-based primer that works with our 2K system. It's installed on this picture here on the right. It's rolled in place. The good thing about this product is once it's down and cured, depending on the humidity, but you're looking at about 8-hour cure time. You've got about a 30-minute pot life once it's mixed, and within 8 hours, you are 100% waterproof. This will provide a waterproof coating on your deck for 7 days before the UV affects it. So if you need a temporary waterproofing system before you're able to get your actual waterproofing down, this is a great primer for that. We also have a PMMA primer, polymethyl methacrylate, and that is our AC primer that's used for our PMMA. We have a plywood and metal primer, which is our 2nd primer for our 2-component system. There's 2 different types, D and R. The way I tell people to remember the difference between the 2 of them, R is rapid. So if you're doing a small area, you need something to cure out in about 2 hours, and you need a very, very quick flash of about 5 minutes. Use a small container, install your primer. 5 minutes later, it's tack-free. You don't have to worry about bugs or debris getting into it, and 4 hours later, you can recoat it. That primer, both the D and the R, they stick to just about anything out there. It will stick to concrete, but we would rather use the epoxy-based one on the concrete. And then our AC primer, or our PMMA primer, that also works on the plywoods and the metals. little bit about the roofing and waterproofing resin system. Our bread and butter is our 2K PUR. The K stands for component. Think about the Mercedes brand. You've seen a little small sports car that they make and they call it a compressor with a K. Well, Germans like to use a K when they're talking about that sound of their vowels. So this is 2-component polyurethane, odorless and solvent and resin. We also have a reflect system, which is a modified version of our 2K PUR. It's a highly reflective product, unbelievable SRI of 110. It has an aged SRI of 103. 103 is still much brighter than many of other options that you can put on a roof if you need reflectivity. It is Class A fire rated, and it has FM and UL assemblies that are available. All our products meet LEED, and you can apply for your LEED status with the use of our products. Here's just a shot of somebody putting it down on top of the cap sheet. One man rolling out a roll. He's got his bucket and he's just rolling that out and putting it in place. So with our 2K Reflect, one thing you want to remember is you don't want to walk on this if you can help it. You want to work your way out, back your way out, just like putting down a nice single ply PVC. You'd want to keep the roof traffic off it as much as possible. This gentleman here, he is rolling out this roll that's getting saturated into the resin that's been poured onto the deck. This is what the buckets look like. Here's a completed roof system over top of a modified system. You can see the seams underneath. We do have a butt splice detail that can be used if overlap. I call it overlap, although it's not truly an overlap or a seam. It is an overlap, but it's not a seam. You've got about 170 mils on this overlap where these two sheets of fleece come together. There is a way to minimize that with an under joint and a butt splice detail. Here's somebody using a cap powder for the PMMA. This is going to be an exterior application. Our PMMA is not odor-free. It's like every other PMMA. It smells like every other PMMA. So make sure that you're not trying to use that in an environment where you have to worry about people being sensitive to odors. Something that we do different than typical roofing is we do all our edge details and flashing first. And a lot of times we'll get a question, well, what about bucking the water as it runs down that curb or that parapet edge and it hits a roof? Or are you not worried about it bucking water at that seam? Well, again, this is a seamless technology, so the seam is not there. Here's a completed or just about completed corner detail. He's got a small drain going down into the roof system there. It's completely flashed around all that. See, he's cut all his fleece to put it into place. And there's the completed system. So you've got 70 to 80 mils in the field of a dry millage. Once it's dry, and anywhere you have your overlap materials, it will be doubled. We have a traffic coating system. Our traffic coating system starts with a 2K or our 2-component system. And into the top of that, you get broadcast ceramic quartz. This is for both vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic. There is one extra step involved when you're using the vehicle traffic version. That's that picture on the right. It's a self-leveling compound that goes on top of the waterproofing, and then the granules are broadcast into the wet system. Kemper has a full modified line. The reason we have a modified line is so many times our systems with the Kemper, with the 2K, needs to tie into a modified system. So this gives us the ability to provide all the components that are necessary to complete this type of a system. We also have an interior waterproofing system, single day application, which is very, very nice. Many of the interior waterproofing systems are a 2-day application. Another benefit that we have is there's no primer necessary, so we go direct to substrate. You don't have to wait for your primer to cure off. Multiple substrates can be used. It can be a cement board, it can be green board. Your typical wet environments, that's kind of the items that you're going to run into. No odors or solvents in this. So if you are doing a renovation in a home, people are still living there, you're putting in a new shower pan, or you're updating a laundry room, this is an ideal product where you don't have to get the people to evacuate the house because of smell. We'll go through a little flashing application here and kind of point out what's necessary. As you can see, this particular shower pan, it's ready to be waterproofed. His tools consist of a pair of scissors and a roller. That's really all he's got. But let's hop in and talk about all these pieces that he's going to go through. So we've got cement board on the back wall. There's going to be tile mounted on that. And on the side walls, you've got your exposed green board. Like I said, you got your rollers and scissors sitting here. That's the tools that are necessary for doing this. You pre-cut all your fleece so that once you put your product on the surface, you don't have to worry about that time that it starts to flash off. So make sure all your fleece is pre-cut, ready to go. Our fleece is a patented fleece. It's needle punched, so it's not a random weave. You hold it up to light, it's very difficult to see through it. It is an actual true needle punched fleece. We have critical edge details, and we've got the ability to ensure that this transom right here, this step that they're going over, does not crack, even though it's a minimal width piece of product that we're adhering to. So you can see he has put a little bit of his product down on the ground. He's applying his inside corners direct to the green board and direct to the cement board. Now he's going to put his corner detail or his edge detail in. It's a 4.1 inch wide piece of fleece. It goes up the wall 2 inches. It goes out into the field 2 inches. Once your corners are done, you can start putting your product on the wall. One nice thing about this product is the ability to seal very tightly around your valves or your pipes, so you don't have to worry about that pressure that's left open, that little space there for any water seepage behind the tile. He's rolling it onto the green board direct, again, with no primer necessary. Leak points are sealed around the valve taps. Corners are all reinforced. Once he's got his product applied, he applies his pre-cut sheet of needle punch fleece directly to the wet product. You notice on the top of that piece of fleece that he's applying, you can see it starting to saturate immediately. So that absorbs in from the back through the needle punch holes, and it starts to adhere to the wall. The next step is to roll the fleece. You can see the fleece now is really starting to absorb and saturate. So you're going to apply a little bit more product on top so that you saturate from the top in. You want to make sure you have 100% saturation of the fleece. If you see white, it is not saturated at all. Notice how it hangs on the wall and it doesn't run either. Once you've finished applying it, and while the product is still wet, a light broadcast of sand gives a great adhesion key for the guy coming behind you to put on his tile. What makes us unique in the marketplace? Seamless technology. That's what it comes down to. You've got a completely seamless application on a roof. There's not going to be any breakage at a bond line. This is truly a fully adhered system. Many single plies are put down and they're sold as a fully adhered system, but we all know you put down your ribbons, it's not fully adhered. It is partially adhered, but it is adhered. This is a true fully adhered system. You can see here we're sticking to a metal roof. Like I say, we can attach to just about any structural surface. Doesn't matter if it's horizontal or vertical. It actually doesn't even matter if it's inverted. One of the niche markets that we're in is we do a lot of tank lining, and we're able to go inside large tanks, whether they're concrete or metal, and do the upper end, the upside, the bottom side, completely line the inside of these tanks. This product will hang from the ceiling, it'll stick to the walls, and you don't have to worry about the running. Another great thing about this type of system is it is UV resistant. As I mentioned initially with our primers are UV resistant for 7 days. Within 7 days, if you have not been able to cover it, you would have to recoat it before the 7 days expires. So every 6 days, you could put down another coat of primer and continue to keep your roof waterproof. Our flashing system is what makes this very, very user-friendly in the field. As you can see, this would have been a very difficult system to try to flash with a typical single ply or a modified system. Up against the walls in the bottom right corner, you notice that there are no termination bars. We do not need any sort of termination bars. It's all field wrapped, 100% pre-cut fleece, and then you wrap it in the field and you apply your product. So we can adhere to any shape in any environment. Another great thing is how you can connect to this product down the road. You're doing a renovation, you're doing an addition. It's very easy to tie into the existing system. You can see on this picture on the left, they went up the plywood and then they've this new set of steps that has been applied. Makes it pretty easy to do different phases of your applications. Ponding water and ice is not something that we worry about. Read through our warranty, there is no exclusions for any sort of ponding water or ice. We love doing fountains, we love doing swimming pools, and we love containing water. So we offer long-term warranties for any of those systems, even if they are underwater. We are root and rot resistant. Where that comes in handy is if you're doing a green roof or some sort of a roof where you've got media or soil that's touching your product. Technically, you do not need a filter fabric, nor do you need any sort of a filter. We recommend it, but it is not required with our system and it will not void your warranty. Odor-free and low VOC. So what is odor-free? Our product is made with a castor oil. That's our back end base. Everything has an odor. I'm sure your water has an odor of chlorine when you smell it out of your tap. So what does it smell like? It smells like a vitamin, maybe. That's about the closest thing that I can connect it to. We will do presentations very often, and it'll be open in the room before they know that we're going to have an open product in the presentation. We'll tell them that we're going to open it, and usually all kinds of hands go up. Wait, we can't open that in here because of odor. And then you proceed to tell them that the product has been opened since before they came in the room. So it is truly low VOC and odor-free. Multiple colors and finishes. As we talked before, we have some ceramic quartz options for slip resistance and wear, but we also do colors. In this particular picture, you can see that this was a patina green that was designed to look like bleached copper. So there's various different colors and options and top coats that can be put on top of the waterproofing product. This does not affect or add to the waterproof ability. This is just an integral color through the product. On this particular project, they were very, very adamant that they did not want to see any overlap of the sheets of fleece that was put on the wall. So this is a pretty complex shape to try to waterproof. So we used a butt splice detail, and if you look real close there, you don't see the overlap of any of the product, but that is completely reinforced. There's 165 gram fleece on that entire surface, each of those surfaces, and then it is it's covered with the waterproofing and finally completely sealed. We've got great customer support, both for the professional engineers and architects as well as the end user. We provide multiple AIA presentations. We've got 8 approved presentations right now that range from 1 to 1.5 hours. We also do pre-design review and evaluation of projects that you're working on. We have design support through our specs and CAD details. We have a CAD team that can help put together any CAD details that are necessary if we do not have one in our library. And then we also have Spec Wizard through our CAD. Our contractor support is kind of what separates us from many of the products out in the field. Our approved applicator program is intensive. We ensure that the crew that is doing the installing is actually trained on the sites. So we're not going to certify your crew based on how much product you buy from us. We're not going to certify your crew in your shop if you want to set up a test area. We're not going to do that either. We're actually going to come out to your site. We're going to put a tech with your crew, and he's going to spend 3 to 5 days working with your crew, teaching them all the different aspects of our install. So the first day he's going to work on primer, Second day, he's going to work on details, flashings, edge details, teach all the guys how to make the cuts in the fleece, how to install it. Next day, he's going to come back. He's going to put down the 2-component system and the fleece and install that, teach the guys how to work on all that product. Then the fourth day, if there's an application of ceramic quartz or a finish, that would be the next day. And then finally, if that gets sealed, he could be there for up to 5 days. The standard duration is usually 3 to 3.5 days, but they often turn into a 5-day process. We're pretty strict about that application standards to ensure that we have high quality from our installers. There's a couple projects that we've done. This is NYU in New York. About $1 million worth of Kemper product was installed on this building. That's just the material version of it. Here's a courtyard, entire courtyard that is covered, and also the roof on that building in the background, you can see has a green roof on top of it. Many of you have seen this in New York City. This is Apple's satellite store in Manhattan. This entire structure, all the waterproofing that was done with this product. Here's a project that we were kind of proud of in Florida. This is 120 Ocean Drive in Miami Beach. It's a very modern building, a lot of glass, a lot of ability for water to enter the building. When we sat down with the design team, they were very, very concerned about how they were going to protect the floors below if there was potential for any sort of leakage. These aren't cheap places to buy. So, you're looking at $5–10 million for some of these here. So they wanted to make sure that they were pretty tightly secured from water. So in this building, they did the entire roof with 2K. They did all the balconies, all the jut outs, any sort of flat concrete work, all the terraces. Those were all done with 2K. And then you come down to the parking deck structure, and the roof of the pool and spa was all done, as well as the interior pool and spa area. And then on the inside, every bathroom in this facility used our 022 system. This was a big project for Kemper. This was a couple $1 million in materials. Turned out fantastically well, but this is a really good case study that was done to understand the value of using a premium product. It's kind of a bird's eye view of New York City. There's a lot of buildings in New York City that have our product on it. From the Twin Towers that stood that we remembered a few days ago, to the new building that took its place. Kemper was selected as the product to protect all these buildings. That's kind of the end of the quick overview, guys. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew and understood what our product was and not take up too much of your time. And with that, I will open it up to any questions. All right, I got a question. What is the pot life for the 2K? So the pot life for the 2K, once it's mixed, so how this works, you take a lid off. Inside the bucket, there's a liner that separates a small container of liquid on the top. You pour that into the bucket. It takes about 3 minutes to mix it with a paddle mixer. You want to make sure there's no striations in it, that it looks pretty consistent. After 3 minutes, you've got about 30 minutes. It's all dependent on humidity, and it is also dependent on temperature. The higher the temperature and the higher the humidity, the faster it's going to flash. You don't want to install this stuff if it's high humidity and 95 degrees. You want to get in the shade, make sure that you can, put up some sort of cover. It's not as much the straight temperature as it is the, just the evaporation too quickly. So it's got to sit there and cure out. But you've got about 30 minutes with that. Next question: can any of our products be put down in wet conditions with active rain? No, that is something that we cannot do. Our product does have to be cured before rain can pop up. We do have a moisture mitigation product if you have a wet slab. Maybe not the question that was asked, but if you have a wet slab and you've got over 5% moisture drive, you can put a mitigation product down. Sometimes it takes 2 coats, and then you can move forward and don't have to wait till that fully cures. The only caveat to that statement is it would be really nice if the other edges of the slab were exposed. So if you're on top of a metal pan, you're probably not going to get much evaporation through the bottom of that pan, but if there's holes in that pan, then it will evaporate, or the edges of the slab will help it to evaporate as well. Acceptable substrates. All right. So acceptable substrates: copper, metal, plastic, PVC, hardy plank, plywood. The only building product that is commonly used that we do not attach to would be OSB. The reason behind that is OSB is just glued together particles, and there is a chance for those to delaminate. So if it's regular plywood and there's no coating, no wax coating on it, like a zip system, some of those zip systems have a wax coating. We can't deal with that wax coating. Advantech, it's a great system. We stick to Advantech, cement board, plastics, just about any product that you're going to run into. Steel, and the nice thing is you can transition from one product to the next product. You can be applying over plywood, and all of a sudden you'll get to a piece of plastic that might be hard, hard rigid plastic. You can continue your product. You don't have to change anything. The only two primers that you have to worry about are concrete and everything else. Concrete is epoxy based, and everything else is with our D or our R primer. Great question. All right, best products for condo, apartment, hotel patios. So there is a good, better, best. This is our top of the line system. This is not an inexpensive system for a patio if it's fully reinforced, and you start putting ceramic quartz or you put some sand in it for the slip resistance. We do have an ability to put it down without the waterproofing, the true waterproofing system. So you wouldn't be waterproof, but you would still be set in, you would have the finish for slip resistance. And then we also own a company called Colon, which is a deck coating system. And Colon is, it would be similar to like a NeoGuard type product. It's more of a volume product. So that's kind of the answer. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you need a long-term solution that's going to last 20, 30 years, kind of buy once, cry once. If you're looking for a 5-year solution, there's a place in the market for that as well. I think that's any other questions here. I've got another one. Is it roll applied or can it be sprayed? So this is 100% roll applied. So what you're doing is you're using the rollers to push the product down into the level below, whether you're putting the primer down or whether you're actually putting down on top of the fleece. You want to use that to force the product into the substrate and then also into the layers below. So it cannot be sprayed. We do have a sprayable product. It's a modified acrylic. Our modified acrylic system it's about 10 years old in Europe. It's fairly new in America. It's not your typical acrylic that can be sprayed. 35 dry mills in 2 passes, and that's kind of a mid-tier type product, and I'll give you 7 days ponding water ability on top of that modified acrylic. That's a great question. What distributors can this be bought through? So we have relationships with most of the distributors. We do a lot of work with Beacon. We do a lot of work with ABC. You name the distributor, and in specific parts of the country, they have a relationship with us. In the Carolinas, we're just kind of launching this product heavily into the Carolinas, although it has been sold here. We do not have distributorships set up yet, so we are currently working with a couple of distributors right now and trying to navigate that pathway. You can buy direct. We sell direct, and if you ordered from me today, I can have it to you usually within 3 days. Another question, ISO as a substrate. So yes, it can be done, although it's not recommended. If you have a good high density one, we can look at that as a system. Is the ISO adhered? Is it mechanically fastened? But yes, there are ways that we can go direct to ISO, although not the absolute best. The best solution would be to drop a cover board on top of that. and tape in or strip in all your seams on your cover board, and then you go from there. How long does the concrete need to cure before the application of the 2K PUR? So that's a tough question. We want 5% moisture or less. Usually that can be achieved in 28 days. That's kind of an industry standard. It depends on the humidity. It depends on a number of things. 28 days is pretty typical. In the city, up in New York City, where it's very, very congested and street closures and et cetera are very, very complicated, they're able to use a high early concrete and then a mitigation product, and usually within 5 to 7 days they're able to apply directly to that concrete. But there's a little bit of pre-planning involved in order to get to that step. Great questions. Any other questions? Nope, got another one coming here. Nope, that's it. All right, all, I thank you for joining us. Ted and Noah, thank you for putting this together and for the invite. Looking forward to meeting many of you guys that are interested in talking about our product. I'm happy to answer any questions. Shoot me an email, reach out to us, or show up October 4th, see the product being installed, touch and feel. Let us buy you some lunch and see the product going to work in a real world environment. Appreciate your time, everybody. Thank you for spending it with me today, and I will talk with you all soon.